You fired up? You ready to
Yeah,
do this
man.
thing? It's gonna look like old Mike Tyson. Let me see this.
Look at this,
Look
man.
at you.
Come on, man.
You took your shirt off like DK Metcalf, man. You ready to roll? You ready to swing?
Look at this, man.
Man, Mike Tyson taking off his shirt on DangerTalk. Listen,
I'm the Rock. I'm a hoaxer, baby. Look at me, baby. I'm beautiful, baby.
This episode of Danger Talk is sponsored by DraftKings, America's top-rated daily fantasy app.
Welcome back to Danger Talk with the one and only, and this year's future MVP. I'm calling it Russell Wilson. Russ, how you feeling, babe?
Hi, what's going on, brother? Man, I'm excited about today. Today's going to be an amazing podcast today.
We got Iron Mike, and I'm going to be upset if you don't ask him about that Buster Douglas fight, which was, is one of the worst fights for him ever. It really kind of crushed his legacy and took Buster Douglas up, which means I want to talk to you about a little bit of a defeat. Man, what happened this week, Russ?
Man, too much, man. The turnovers were terrible. We can't have those. I think I played. I didn't play my best football. I played crappy football. You can't ever give the ball away. And I think that was just kind of the part of the process of that game.
Well, here's the thing. You're a champion. You know that. I tell all my friends when they're texting me about the game, blah, blah, blah. And I always got your back. I love you. You're the man. But I never thought I'd ever see the Bills beat my Russell Wilson Seahawks. That is a weird thing to read.
Yeah. I know it was bad. It was my fault too. I think back and watch the game. It's, especially the second interception there we had. The first one is fourth down. You're going for it. Sure. I'm not gonna just take a sack. That kind of thing. So you got to throw the ball. So they made a play. We almost had a touchdown there, but the second one was just terrible by me. I dropped back and I was looking for DK. How could you not look for him?
Sure.
And,
it's a monster.
I was looking for DK. It was 3rd and 25. I was pissed off because he just got sacked on the first play of the drive. And the second play, I kind of got tripped up, which should have been a penalty. First of all, but it tripped me up, and then I was pissed off about that. So then, I'm still in that that mode or whatever, and I just kind of dropped back, and I should have held my eyes a little bit longer to the left and kept the guy there. And next thing I know, I tried to zoom it in there, and 27 made the pick. But it's just bad football. I got to know better than that. I should have checked it down to Greg and then let them transition and play ball. So that way we could have just punted and let Michael Dixon kick it, 60 yards, however far he can kick it out of the stadium. So that way they would have been backed up, and then we could have been a little bit closer in that game. So, I think that's just on me. And I also was getting banged up. Got hit a few times there. So you're trying to make a play and trying to figure things out and trying to convert and and make something great happen. And so I lost my focus, not my focus, but I lost my discipline in my eyes in that moment. I should have kept my eyes square, kind of seen where the corner was and been able to check it down if it wasn't there, if he was floating back there. So that's just part of the game. But you take those lessons and you transfer them and understand that, okay, just don't do that again. Don't do that again. And so, you learn it. And that's one thing that I do think is one of my greatest gifts, is to be able to see that, understand it, process it, and then, move on to the next moment and to not hang on that. And that's when we had the next drive, we ended up scoring a touchdown. But when he picked it off, I was trying to get the ball, Jeff. I almost stripped it out.
I saw you running. I saw you running.
I tried to rip it out. I almost had it. The ball came loose for a second there, but
still got hard.
I was just pissed off. It was a bad game by us, all across the board. We got to play better. We got to be better. We will be better. And I'm excited about this week. And it was cool, obviously seeing guys come back, guys like Jamal and Dunlap being on our team and all that too. So that was cool.
Well, so this ain't a post-game interview. I don't do a lot of X's and O's. I don't know, but I want to, since we've got a podcast here, so let's really, I want to know what it's like to be Russell Wilson when maybe they sack you. Some guys get ticked off or they get whatever. Like, you seem to be pretty cool about it when you pop back up. You don't ever get hot-headed or anything. I mean, it obviously hurts. We know that. But what is it like? What's going through your brain when you're like, gosh, they just got some yards. They sacked me. This is not the most pleasant feeling thing. What's going through your brain when it's a turnover or a sack like that?
Well, when it's a sack, it's just part of the game. And I know our guys are battling, fighting to do everything they can, and so they got good players too. So sometimes it just hurts, though, man. It feels like you're a car crash. It feels like you're in a car wreck. Because it's like, good thing you have pads on, but I just feel like your head hits the ground, your body, you get twisted up, and and I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm only 5'11". I weigh good 215 or so, but after you take a few of those hits, you feel them pretty good.
Yeah.
So you come back to the sideline, you're frustrated because you want to be able to I want to score every drive. I want to make sure that we're excellent every possession, every time we snap the ball. And when it doesn't go your way, it's like you get frustrated, you get pissed off in that moment, but you're like, okay, here, boom, let's move on to the next one. And I think that's something that I've really learned, to be able to be neutral and to be able to transfer my thoughts from the play before, good or bad, and to be right here, right now, and just stay focused on that. So it's just part of the game. It's kind of like boxing a little bit. You're going to get hit.
Yeah, but we can't. We're not going to be able to ask our guest what he felt like when he gets one on the chin or the head, like, because I don't think there's a lot of memory when you get punched in the face by a boxing glove. He's gonna be like, I don't know what it feels like. I feel it the next day.
I know I definitely feel pretty sore in the mornings too. This week I felt pretty sore. But I have my whole routine. I do a bunch of swimming. I get in the HBC. I've been in the HBC for like 4 hours, just sitting there taking that good oxygen and just healing, hydrating, trying to get my body back, swimming, doing all that stuff, all my normal treatment, but a little bit more.
Explain to us what that is. I don't even know what the heck you just said. You do what?
The HBC, it's a hyperbaric chamber. So it's getting good oxygen, pure oxygen into you. It helps heal your cells and everything else. So I'm a big believer in that. And I have a whole bunch of other modalities that help me get back to healthy. But, usually by like Thursday, I don't feel great again. So that's the thing about playing these Thursday night games. When they ask us players to play Thursday night games, it's tough to get back and feel great again. So, but it's something I've always invested in and spent time in, and just spent so much time on recovery.
Here's a hard-hitting question for you. You got Jamal with the cool look, the visor, all that stuff. You got DK with the different colored hair and the Lawrence Taylor like earring and the belly shirts. When are we gonna get some Russell Wilson with like some yellow hair or some sort of like a flash? When's Russ gonna do it?
Listen, we win a Super Bowl. I may dye my hair or do something fun like that. But I'm in the zone right now, so I'm sticking to my. I don't have the Lawrence Taylor earring like DK has, or the flash. I want to wear a visor like Jamal one of these games, but I'm so habitual. I'm like, but that visor, he looks like he's gonna dominate the game just when he walks out the locker room.
Yeah.
But man,
he looks like the strongest guy to ever serve you a dinner during COVID. Like you should get like the whole visor and just put the whole everyone in the NFL should have one, like a real long one. This week, man, we got the Rams, big Rams game, divisional game. I mean, you nervous? Of course you're not nervous. That's a stupid question. What do you think? It's a big divisional game. What's your mindset?
Yeah, it's a championship matchup. But we're in first place in the NFC West. They're battling too. They got a great coach in Sean McVay. Obviously, they got obviously Aaron Donald and what he can do, and it's gonna be a tough matchup for sure. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited about going to this new stadium. I'm excited about playing there. Anytime you get to play in a new stadium, I always get fired up. So this is going to be really cool just to go against those guys. And they got Jalen Ramsey too, who's such a star over there. And it'll be a great matchup between DK and Jalen, and seeing those guys go after it. And it's always a blast. It's a little heavyweight fight in itself, just those two guys. So it'll be a fun game for sure. And hopefully we come out on top, man.
I'm hoping so. What do you think the over-under is going to be? Like, can you give us some predictions on that? I mean, we're sponsored by DraftKings. How does this work?
I don't know if I can do that, but
all right,
hopefully the Seahawks win.
All right, we'll just have a link down below they can click or something. You excited to bring in this guest, Russ?
Man, I am fired up. This guest is, one of the best boxers ever to walk into a ring, man. I'm excited about this one, Jeff. We've had some amazing guests. I mean, we've had, all the way from obviously Shaq in the first episode to John David Washington and Randy Moss talking about so much in his relationship with, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to obviously Chris Paul and his experience in the NBA, Candace Parker. I mean, how amazing was Candace Parker? How much wisdom did Candace Parker give us about life and overcoming and the game? And we've had some amazing guests that have impacted us so much. Ken Griffey Jr., obviously, you being from Seattle, me being here in Seattle, Ken Griffey Jr. all the way from Virginia, where I was from. I used to try to imitate his swing. And then, of course, people like, Matthew McConaughey talking about green lights and his new book and just the wisdom and thoughts he gave us. And Joe Montana, talking about the old school versus the new school quarterback and that whole process. But this week is a special. This guest right here is about to have a fight here coming up November 28th on pay-per-view. He's super excited between himself and Roy Jones Jr. But our guest today is one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. Jeff Dye, he's got 50 career wins, 44 by knockout, and 44 of those knockouts were probably within a minute. But he's returning to the ring later this month. He's returning to the ring later this month, Jeff, on November 28th. It's going to be an amazing fight between him and Roy Jones Jr. Please welcome the one and only Iron Mike, a.k.a. the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson. Mike, what's up, man?
Man, everything's going on, man. Everything's going on.
I know you're getting ready for this fight coming up, obviously, soon. You and Roy Jones Jr. November 28th. And we got our guy, Jeff Dye, here. And I know you guys know each other from the past a little bit and met each other. But man, I'm excited. What you've been up to? I've been seeing all these Instagram videos. You working out, you training.
I've been training, and I'm just trying to. I think this is the down period, but I'm training like this is my first 2 weeks. It's just this. I'm really focused, and I want to do this stuff.
Yeah. So, Mike, how does that process go? Obviously being a quarterback and being a football player and all that, we train all year round and everything else. But as a boxer, as you've been getting in shape and everything else, I mean, what have you had to do? What have you had to do to just get in shape like that? Take us through that training regimen that you've been going on.
Well, I started doing this stuff when I started getting in shape, not for the particular fight, but when I started getting in shape, I was 312 pounds. And I didn't know what to do. My wife said, just get on the treadmill for 15 minutes. And so I would do the treadmill for 15 minutes, and 15 minutes led up to 2 hours.
That's competitive you.
And I don't know, and I just kept doing it. And then I started looking good, getting in shape. And then my brother-in-law came by and said, Mike, man, I know you don't want to do this, but somebody said, would you fight this guy for such amount of money? And I said, man, get out of here. I don't want to fight. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb said, bing. I said, hey, what do you mean fighting? Do you mean like street fight, MMA, or just Marcus or Queensberry? How do you want to fight me? And he said, 1 minute, let me call him. And I said, will he box me? Under Marcus or Queensberry? He said, 1 minute. He called me and he said, yes. I said, I'll fight him. Because it was first started off with Bob Sapp. From Bob Sapp, it went to Shannon Briggs. From Shannon Briggs, who else did it go to? Tyson Fury. And from Tyson Fury, now I'm fighting Roy Jones.
Wow. Whew. Well, I think about that, and especially with all the things going on with quarantine and everything else too, and that whole process. Like, where have you been training this whole time? Like, where you been at, and just what's that process been?
In
like?
My office. I turned my office into a gym.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's just thinking about you just going into your office, changing it. Next thing you know, so what are you weighing right now? What kind of weight are you at now? You say you're at 312?
No, and I was 312 when I first started this process of losing weight. I'm around 220 now.
Wow.
Cheapers.
That's incredible. Man, that's incredible, just the work ethic that you've had.
I say something like, for some reason, you're probably the same way. When it goes off, there's no controlling it. When it's click, it's time to go. I don't even know. I haven't been like this in years. I wasn't like this in my last couple of fights, but it's that switch that boom. And I'm on automatic, and and I have no control over it.
Jeff Dye, you have that switch? Does that switch go off for you?
I don't have that athletic switch, I'll tell you that. But when you running on the treadmill for 15 minutes and you said it became 2 hours.
No, I walked on it for 15 minutes.
Walked on it for 15, and then the next day 15, and the next day 30, or how does that work?
It just went 30 for like a month, and then I started making it higher, incline. And then next thing you know, it's 20 for a month. And then I keep moving. And I go from that on the treadmill. Now I start doing the bike. So I do the bike for 20 minutes, and I come up and I do the treadmill for 20 minutes. So now it's back to 30. Now I'm doing 30 on the bike, and I'm coming up doing 30 on the treadmill. Now it's an hour on the bike and an hour on the treadmill.
I do not envy Roy Jones Jr. I do not envy that man right now.
No, I don't either.
So what else have you been doing during this whole quarantine thing? And you've been watching football at all? You pay attention to football?
Just training. Just training. I don't even watch boxing. I don't even watch sports unless I'm around a bunch of people that really into that particular sport. We start watching. That's why my wife married me because I don't watch sports. Unless it's a big event, one of those big events, Super Bowl, one of those, then I watch. But other than watching everyday sports every night, I'm a junkie. No, I'm not a junkie like that.
Is she crazy about you boxing again, or is that a sensitive subject with her, or how does she feel about you getting back in the ring?
She's happy with everything I do, but the last time me and her was together and I had a fight, she was nursing me for a while.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, obviously, Mike, then we're gonna have to make sure we get to the Super Bowl so you can watch the Super Bowl, because if you don't watch sports outside of the big events, we got to make sure we get to the big one then.
And listen, Super Bowl, football must be a really complex sport, huh? Too much collision. You can't help.
It's not quite as it's not quite as much as getting in the ring with you, but it's definitely
no way, buddy, no way. I got one guy in front of me, and you got guys that jumping on top of you, behind you, side of you. Now it's just a death trap, man, being a quarterback.
Oh man, it is nowadays. You got so many guys so athletic. You're trying to move and get away from
300 pounds flying in the air, jumping over your men, grabbing you. It's incredible.
Exactly. We're gonna have a great game this weekend. Actually, we got the Rams this weekend, and we're playing the Rams, and so they got Aaron Donald. So he's a really, really good player. He knows how to get to the quarterback. So it'll be a good matchup, though.
I wish you the best.
When you do you have a football team, Mike? Do you have a team that you root for?
No, but I was always with Lawrence Taylor. When Lawrence Taylor went away, then I was with the Cowboys when they had Dion and all those guys and Michael Irvin.
All right.
Yeah, those guys are amazing.
Incredible.
Back then. Well, Mike, I remember last time I saw you, we were actually in France, actually. And I was actually, me and Serena Williams, actually, Jeff, I don't even know if you know this story, but Sierra was actually performing in France, the south of France. And we ended up stopping by, Serena and I, we've become close, and Sierra and everything else. And so I actually ended up training with Serena at this world-class tennis facility. And next thing I know, I'm in there working out early in the morning, me and Serena. And here comes Mike Tyson walking. Here comes Big Mike, walking down the way. I'm like, Mike, what are you doing here at a tennis facility? And I think it was one of your kids, right, Mike?
My daughter's an avid tennis player, and she's 11 years old, 11 years old, but she's a prodigy. She plays everybody, professionals, amateurs, and God willing, if she continues the interest, we're gonna see her in Wilmington, or else the U.S. Open, one of those guys.
It was amazing because I was watching him and just how intent he was watching his daughter, and just how much he cared. Mike, it was kind of cool to watch, and just how amazing she was too. I
have to understand something. Sometimes my ego get involved. I have to understand she's not me. She don't motivate off of my motivations. Other things that motivate her.
Yeah. Well, it was cool to watch.
She's got that laser focus you have, and she's got that determination. Focused. That's all in her,
Yeah, she wants to make a name for herself like I did when I was a kid. She never say it, but that's what she wants.
I love it. Well, Mike, listen, speaking of making a name for yourself, speaking of legacy and all that, and speaking just about childhood and everything else, I want to do this segment we call that it's Cooking with Russ. So we dive into legacy and mentality, all the things you've kind of been through, kind of a one-on-one conversation. Jeff's going to join us back in. He's got a cool little 2-minute drill he's going to join us back in on and ask us some fun questions. But Mike, as we talk about legacy and everything else and greatness and all the things that you've been through, take me back to your childhood. Take me back to Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
That experience of what that looks like.
Brooklyn, really bad. Mother and father, what is my mother and father? They're in the, I don't know, what do you call it, the sex industry? Yeah, my mother and father, they sell their body. And so you can imagine my house is like a little brothel. So you can imagine what I've seen. but it was normal. So I thought everything was cool.
Yeah. And
And
so
then
growing up,
went from that to people going to jail, people really no more money. Everybody's got to move to a really, really bad neighborhood in Brownsville, Brooklyn. That's really, man, when you talk about golly.
well, I think about everything you've had to go through just in your young childhood and going back to that and just the experiences, that all the things that you probably saw and experienced and had to do. And I read that you had been arrested 38 times before you were 13. Just the experience of that and
Yeah.
having to deal with all that and going through that and just trying to survive.
No,
It was almost like you're in survival mode. Is that right?
no, I was designed for that.
Hmm.
That's why I'm talking to you, because that's what I was designed for. They say God don't give you too much that you can't bear, and I guess I'm here.
Yeah, you definitely had to bear a lot. And I think about too, thinking about your sister. You lost your sister, right?
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
were pretty young.
yeah. When I was 21, 23, forgive me.
Yeah. Were you pretty close to your brother and sister?
Yeah, yeah, in a strange way. We're very
Mhm.
close. My sister was pretty much divorced after my mother died. I have an older brother who's a surgeon, who's a doctor, you know. And the sister, even though my sister she wasn't active in anything. She was just divorced for some reason. She just took over after my mother died, and so she didn't take care of herself, and
Yeah.
that came to her demise as well. I believe
So I.
some cocaine was involved. I was told that. That's what I was told
Mhm.
from my husband, and I believe that had something to do with it as well.
Well, when you think about just your whole family and just having to transition, you know, growing up, being 13, being 14, 15, 16, you're this amazing, prodigy type fighter. You just kind of learn. Where did you start learning, boxing? Where did that really transition
Very
to and change
interesting,
your whole
Russell.
life?
Russell, this is interesting. I was in this this jail called Spofford, and one day I came out and we came to the assembly room, like the basketball court, the gym, and we
Yeah.
saw the movie The Greatest. And as soon as the movie went on, the lights came on, Muhammad Ali came out. And then listen, I said, I want to be like him. And I went from there to another jail, and it was a professional boxer that worked there. And he taught me how to box. And then, oh, it's crazy. I can't even tell you, it's crazy.
Yeah. What was his name? The professional boxer? Do you remember?
Bobby Stewart. Bobby Stewart.
Oh wow.
Then he
Yeah.
took me to Dusty Amato. Oh man. Then we saw Ali get beat by Holmes. And then they told me I have to. Then they told me I had to avenge Ali.
Yeah.
I was 14.
14. Well, I think what's amazing is how Ali inspired you. You saw him. Like, I want to be great like that. I want to
How
be
did that
that.
happen? No, listen, Russ, I just saw that man. I never saw him. I said I want to be like him. As soon as I saw him, it was beautiful.
So this was probably in what,
Yeah, I was 12. I was
1978,
12. I was
1979.
12, 13, something like that, 12 or 13.
Mm.
Blew
What a cuss do
my
for you?
mind. Huh?
What you talked about cuss and just how he impacted you, and that relationship.
Yes, discipline. He taught me discipline. Be able to
Mhm.
do without anything. Food,
Yeah, you wrote
water.
this.
Be able to
Yeah.
discipline your mind and be in control of your mind.
How did he teach you that? Like how, when you talk about discipline and teaching that and just the simple things of what Cuss was able to teach you and just, you seeing, you being so young and all the things that you've had to go through in your younger life
He taught me
and all
everything
the.
through example. Everything through example, Russell.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's all about. It's just like you got to be emotionalist. We can't be slave to our feelings, and then our emotions are enslaved to our feelings, and that shit doesn't work in life. We have to be in control.
Yeah. So when you're 20 years old, you're the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. You've gone through all these things. You you had been you know, in our childhood where you've been arrested, 38 times, all these different things. Then you get to see Muhammad Ali on TV. You're like, I want to be like that.
No, I
Without
wasn't
even
on
knowing.
television. No, he came to the place.
It was in person?
In person, he came to the
Oh,
reform school.
wow. It was in person?
Yes.
Did you get to say hi to him, or did you say
No, I was too
wave at him or
far
anything?
up. I was too far up. I was one of the troublemakers. They wouldn't, they kept us far up. But as soon as I saw him, I said, that's who I want to be.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're 12, 13 years old at the time.
Yes.
So take me from 12 to 20 years old. You're the heavyweight champion at 20 years old in 1986. How did you get there?
I fought 15 times in 1 year. I stayed busy. I never had a chance to really be outside fooling around and make friends because I was too busy tuning my skills. And at that particular time when I was young, I was inflated by my ego. It was all ego-centric stuff. It was all about me. It was all about me being in the category with Alexander the Great and Achilles and believing that I was that great. It's the power of belief as well. Yeah, that.
Well, I think too that confidence and that power of belief that you start, you have to have that belief to be great, right? I mean, I think that the belief in yourself and understanding that what it takes to look like to be great and the confidence that you have to build within yourself, but also it can take you to a different direction and everything else. And you've won all these fights.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Because you had those knockouts. I mean, you were knocking people out. I remember watching a fight. I think you knocked somebody out maybe in 20 seconds or something crazy. And I just remember watching that and just how ferocious you were. And as soon as the bell rang, you were going, and I think what was that mentality being 20 years old all the way to all the wins and all the knockouts. When you step into the ring, take me to that mentality of what that feels like and all the success that you're having and that belief that you're talking about.
Back to Brownsville.
Yeah. You just didn't want to go back. Yeah. And I think about just that part of it and that understanding of I just don't want to go back. I don't want to be in that place ever again.
I want to be up more than anybody want me to be down. That's why I'll never go back. To visit and hang out, but never be living there.
Yeah. So it's, in the mid 80s, you're on top of the world. All these different things, all these amazing things are going on in terms of you're one of the most well-known athletes of all time, and greatest fighter of all time at the time, and just how you were knocking people out and everything else. And then transition into, the 90s, early 90s, and you have to go, you have all these crazy knockouts and you have to go fight Douglas in Tokyo. Take me to Tokyo. Take me before Tokyo, though. Kind of what your mentality was like before going into it.
Before Tokyo, I was trying to get away. People keep trying to get me to come train. I wanted to hang out with these girls and continue partying with my friends, and that was just a fiasco. And then eventually, I was still late, so I got on the plane, and then I went to Japan, and I fought Buster, and Buster was very serious, and he fought a great fight.
I know Buster. Yeah, I know Buster had so much going on in his world too. I think he had lost a family member, maybe his mom or somebody close to him, grandmother, somebody, and 20 some days, 23 days or something like that beforehand. But for you personally, landing in Tokyo, all these distractions, all these different things happening, and sometimes I think that when you have so much success, these distractions can come easily. And so, going into that ring, did you know Buster was ready? Like, did you know that he was maybe more prepared than you that night, or do you feel like you were prepared that night, ready to beat him?
I believe I was prepared to beat him because listen, everybody that I beat Buster, so I didn't think Buster was no problem.
Yeah. So that fight happens that night.
Yes.
In the 90s, and you're on top of the world. Everything's and then just like that, you kind of your world kind of changes in that moment. What was that process like? Lose from winning all these different fights, knocking everybody out, to that, hitting the floor and losing that fight.
All right,
what's running through your mind now?
Russell, okay, I'm 20 years old. I'm the champ of the world. but you know I have a lot of experience to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So before I got there, I'm a master at boxing. I studied all the literature of boxing. What I do understand is that every dog has his day. And I knew as soon as I get my head back together and I get in the gym, I'm going to be champ again. It was just a moment of time. I just know that. I know the greater fighters than my Ali lost and came back. People lose and come back. Leonard lost and come back. Duran lost and come back. That shows what's made out of you. Do you give up when things don't go your way, or do you come back and you regain what's yours? You know that
actually,
feeling, don't you? Don't you know that feeling?
Yeah. Well, I actually relate. I was about to say I actually kind of relate to that because, I was on top of the world. I was, felt like I was on top of the world, and everything was going great. Winning, the Super Bowl, and then unfortunately, you don't win the second one, and just like that, it feels like the whole world can fall apart. But I think that what makes somebody great in terms of their field is the ability, the mental part of being able to overcome and come back and be stronger than ever.
That's why
I'm obsessed with this mental part. So, I think about all of that and just your training and everything that you've had to go through, and fighting. Because I think about, I've been training and just I go box for fun. We gotta go train together one of these days, just for fun. But when I think about boxing, I think about training. I think getting ready for a game, getting ready for a season. What would you say the proportion is? Is it 50-50 mental physical? Is it mostly physical?
I think
What is
I
it?
think it's 15 physical, 85% mental. Let's go 25 physical and 7 physicality. Our body's only purpose is to carry our brain, So I don't have too much respect for the physical aspect of that. I understand everything arises from the mind. You have to look at it from this perspective, Russell. What allows you to be conscious of what's in your mind right now? The conversation we're having and the questions that you're asking, how'd you become conscious of that? Are they just flowing in your head right now? How do they blow up? How do those words come in your head? How are you conscious of that? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, I think that's from, being kind of in a place that you've been at success and winning and championships and, constantly thinking about greatness every day. I never wanted, Mike, I never wanted to do anything, halfway. I mean, I've always wanted to give it my all whenever I do something, all I ever think about is the process, and I think that for me, I've always been so obsessed with the process more so than the end result. And I think as you think about that mentally, everything you think about and everything going back to discipline, as you talked about with Cuss and what he taught you about discipline and what that looks like and how to be able to be honest with you, quiet out all the noise and the distractions, especially when you're training, especially in the middle of the season and what that looks like, and to be able to bring it to, a focal point. And I think for me mentally, playing quarterback at least I would say the mental part of the game is just like you said, probably 85% of it. Because, when you get to this point, everybody's got this physical ability to do a lot of great things, but can they transfer the mental side and the physical side and combine it and marry the two together?
I'm going to say something that you might be offended of, but it's true. At the level of the game me and you are at, you're only the best because you're smarter. At this level of the game, it's only because you're smarter, not because you're stronger, bigger, or tougher. It's only because a lot of people don't want to hear that because they think it's arrogant. But at this level of the game where you win only because you're smarter.
Yeah, well, I think it's so true because the brains and the process, and then even in the midst of the fight, even in the midst of the moment, can you transfer all the information and know how to attack, know how to win, know how to process all that?
Your brain is moving millimeters a second. Your brain is moving faster than you could even imagine.
Especially in boxing, but standing in the pocket, it's very similar because everybody's moving, everybody's running at you, and you got to make fast decisions. I mean, they talk about getting the ball out in 2.2 seconds.
Football and boxing, you're risking your health, so you have to really be on top of your game.
How do you prepare for that? Obviously, you spar and do all that stuff, but is there another way that you prepare your mind mentally to transfer all that information so fast, lightning pace?
It's just it's getting in touch with your consciousness and your fear.
Yeah.
Once you embrace that, you have no worry of anything. You have to embrace that fear. This is your brother. This is your woman. This is your wife. It's everything that you love in your life triple that. That's what your fear is. You can't love anything more.
Is it the fear of losing it for you, Mike, or is it the fear of not having it? Is the fear of, like you said, I talked about Brownsville, not, not, I don't want to go back. That kind of fear that you're talking about?
No, it's the fear of not accomplishing my objective.
Hey, Mike, that was awesome. Listen, let me do this, ad read real fast. This has been an amazing conversation. You've given us so much knowledge, and I want to keep talking about your legacy and so much more. And then we're going to bring Jeff Dye back to this 2-minute drill. So it's everyone's favorite tournament of the year. The golfers are in Augusta, Georgia to compete for the coveted jacket. And DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, is putting you in the center of the action by giving you a shot to land in the green. This week, DraftKings is giving you a shot at a $1 million top prize when you download and sign up using promo code DangerTalk. If you haven't tried DraftKings, this is the time. It's easy to play. Just pick six golfers, stay under the salary cap, and submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday. Then sit back and follow the action. The more red numbers they have on the leaderboard, the closer you'll be to winning some green. Rack up points for pars, birdies, finishing position, and more. Even though you may not be able to hit the course, DraftKings is giving you the chance to scratch your competitive itch and reign supreme. Download the DraftKings app now and use code DangerTalk during signup. That's code DangerTalk, and you can get a free shot at the $1 million top prize only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. What I fear, for me personally, I fear not being prepared. Like, to me, like I can go to any game, any situation, and if I feel like I'm prepared for the fight, for the moment, for the game, I feel like I can't be beat. You know what I mean? I feel like we can't be beat. I just feel like, I'm ready. And as you mentioned, every dog has its day. It may not work out. We had a tough game this weekend and didn't go, but I felt like we were prepared. So you go into each moment and understanding that, they're good too over there, right? But knowing that mentally, I think that I'm better than you. Mentally, I think that I can go longer than you. Mentally, you can't match up with me. Mentally, I'm going to wear you down. And I think that's where I think greatness comes from, as we talked about earlier too, right?
This is what I know about greatness. I've known a lot of great people, just like yourself. I've known a lot of great people, but all of them haven't been good people. And over the years of life, I realized being good is so much more rewarding than being great.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I had a really wise person once tell me that there's a lot of great men, but there's a difference between being a great man and a good man.
Yeah.
And I think that's a true point. And I think about, you have your kids and stuff too, Mike, and all the things that you've got to go through. Obviously, you have this fight coming up before Jones Jr. and on November 28th coming up here soon. But, when you go back to where you are now, and I think about that fight in Tokyo against Douglas, to Holyfield, and y'all's matchups, to, where you are right now today. Tell me where you are right now today and how you got there.
Well, I'm here because after all my adversity, and of course, adversity is going to either make you stronger, and the weak weaker. But I'm here because I truly believe and confident in myself. And like you said before, what does greatness mean? What does greatness mean? That it's not doing anything great for somebody less fortunate than yourself. We have to see, what is greatness? Should somebody put a magnifying glass on somebody? Greatness is your actions. To be compassionate and be careful and have care for people, not just to conquer them. That's what our greatness. We look at greatness as beating somebody up, superseding somebody. That's our greatness, other than helping somebody.
Well, I think about too, as you mentioned, what greatness really is about serving, and, to come back to all the things that you've gone through, and going back, talking about if you were able to talk to your 20-year-old self and tell yourself, if I could do it all over again, it would look like this. I'd still have a greatness. I'd still have all these different things, but I'd also talk about serving. I think about, to me, when I get to talk to my kids one day, I hope that I can tell them that, you can strive for all these great things, and do it and go for it and be disciplined and all, but also to know that it's really about others. I think that you've really shown that in your whole life transition and everything you've gone through, from all the way from being the baddest man on the planet to everything else you had to go through in childhood and everything else, and to be honest, all the stuff and demons you've had to deal with and overcome to where you are today, and having a fight coming up, and also what you've been able to do with, I think you have your Mike Tyson Cares Foundation, right? Talk to me about that for 2 seconds here.
To care for people that are addictive and homeless and have no one to care about. You know the whole story. People like me, for people like I was.
Yeah. Because I think it's so important to be able to give back.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, but how do you give back to people? How do you help people without thinking, hey, they might sue me if I say if they got poison or something for me helping? How do you help somebody in this society without getting in trouble? How does that happen, Russell?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the intent of our heart, it starts with that. And I think, for a person like you, you've been through it all. I mean, there ain't nobody that's been through more stuff than what you've had to experience, see,
I
do.
didn't die yet. I'm looking forward to that. That's something that didn't happen to me.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. But you've gone through pretty much everything a man can go through, and to understand.
I think life is the willingness to die. That's what I truly believe.
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Not being afraid to die.
Mm-hmm.
I read this book. I got this book I've been reading, right? I really had my wife read it to me. It's called The Epic of Gilgamesh. And this is it's like the first book ever written in history. The first one ever found written, really. And it's around 6,000 years old. And it's about this king that's just his father, I think his mother was a god, or his father was a king, and something happened, but he couldn't have mortality. He had to die. And he just didn't want to die. He was so addicted to life. He just did not want to give it up. And then he's met this guy called Inkadink. And Inkadink was just as powerful as him, but the king Gilgamesh was just beating him a little bit because they wrestled. But Gilgamesh was the kind of king, before you get married, he had to sleep with your wife. And then he told his best friend Inkadink that. Inkadink said, "You're a jerk. Because no one ever told him that before. No one was ever equal his strength and told him that he was wrong." So Inkadink said, "You're a fool. You're a jackass. How can you do that to somebody? You have no feeling." And then he stopped doing that. And then Inkadink died. And then that really blew his mind, and he really went into himself to understand the journey of death.
So all the things that you've gone through, and you think about the book that you just read, and you and your wife reading, and to you don't fear death.
No.
Do you look forward to death? Do you look forward to the process of just knowing that you've gone through?
I'm scared of the process of it. That has me intimidated, but just it happened, and no, actually, boom, because you don't remember being born, right?
Yeah.
You won't remember dying.
Man, I think about just all the things you've gone through, and just where you are now in your career, and just I think about how you've gone from 312 pounds to 220 to just the discipline, to what Cuss taught you to. And I think about all that stuff you've had to go through as a young child, to seeing Muhammad Ali as you're sitting there, and you say, you see him for the first time, and in that split second, I want to be like that. To you learning how to box, and somebody teaching you how to box, in jail as a young kid at 12, 13 years old, all the way to Cuss teaching you about, about discipline and everything else that you've had to go through, and to, being the world's greatest fighter at 20 years old, to having all these knockouts within, a minute and 90 seconds, and 44 knockouts and 50 wins, and all these different moments, and the moment you had with Evander, to all the things that you had to do, and then Tokyo happens, and all that stuff, all that happening, and to where you are right here coming up November 28th, you get to fight Roy Jones Jr. You're in shape, you're ready to roll. Tell me about the fight. Tell me why you're doing this, why you're so excited about it. And I think about just all the things that you've had to go through. Tell me why, and why Mike Tyson is the best in the world at this.
Hey, listen, I used to at the time my brother-in-law said this to me, I was totally and squashed my ego because I lost all that weight and stuff. And then I started saying, hey, I could box somebody for such and such 4 rounds and this. And then, like I said, I went through all these people, Tyson Fury, everybody, Shannon Briggs, Bob Sapp. And then it gets to Roy Jones, right? And then I'm saying, wow. I started out with a 4 rounder. Now I got an 8 rounder. How did that happen? Now I got, no. I got a belt involved. I got 3 judges involved. I said, what's this all about? This is for charity. This is just now a belt involved. Well, how did this happen? What the? Excuse me, but you know what happened. You feel this is just an exhibition to help people. Next thing you know, a belt involved. We got referees. We got judges. Some exhibitions they don't even have referees. These guys got judges, but man. I don't know what the heck happened in my life. That's what really, that's the real problem. What the hell happened?
So tell me about these next 2 weeks. You ready to roll? You fired up? You ready to do this thing? Is it gonna look like old Mike Tyson? Let me see this.
Look at this, man. Come on, man.
You took your shirt off like DK Metcalf, man. You ready to roll? You ready to swing?
Look at this, man. Come on, brother.
Man, Mike Tyson taking off his shirt on DangerTalk.
I'm the Rock. I'm a Hulkster, baby. Look at me, baby. I'm beautiful, baby.
You ready to roll, man? You went from 312 to 220 just like that, huh? Over a couple months.
Hey, it took 5 months.
Hey, you stayed on it though. Hey, let's do this. Let's make sure we got to bring Jeff Dye back just for this.
Hey, Jeff, come look at me, baby. Look at me, Jeff.
Listen, Jeff Dye, you still there? But Mike, obviously we do this whole thing called the 2-minute drill, and I know you're getting ready. You got to go get ready for your fight here. But as we think about this fight coming up, we're really excited to watch you fight again and just watch one of the greatest ever to fight. Like Jeff Dye, look at this man. He's got his. Oh no, I'm not even taking. Don't even think
black
about
baby, black look pretty, baby. Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Okay.
Iron Mike made me confident. Iron Mike made me confident. I'm inspired, baby. I'm inspired.
I love you.
Well, you two had your shirts on. I'm gonna keep my shirt on just for now. But listen, we got this fight coming up.
I thought Jeff underwear.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Jeff's probably gonna get completely naked by the end of the show. But listen, I think that Jeff, you got your 2-minute drill?
Oh, I'm ready.
So, Mike,
all right, Mike, here's how we do it.
All right. Go ahead. You got it, Jeff.
Go for it. Explain it, Russ. I was gonna say, Russell's the king of the 2-minute drill.
Okay.
And so the way it works is I'm gonna give us 2 minutes. I'm gonna ask you a question and Russ a question, and you're gonna answer first as quick as you can, just the first thing that comes to your mind, the truthful answer, and then Russ will answer, and we'll try to knock all as many as we can out in 2 minutes.
This is gonna be so much fun.
You ready for this?
Just so you guys know, before we start this game, we got freaking Mike Tyson with his shirt off on DangerTalk and Jeff Dye with his shirt off. I mean, this is the best 2-minute drill I've ever seen, probably. But or maybe it's the worst. Right. I don't know. But Jeff, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. We're ready.
Let's do this. All right. Let's put 2 minutes on the clock. All right. Here we go. First question is going to Mike. Pizza or wings?
Wings.
All right.
I'm going wings. I'm going wings.
Nice. Jump rope or distance running?
Distance running.
Jump rope for sure. Got to have quick feet in the pocket.
All right. Comedy or horror film?
Horror.
I like a good horror. I like a good horror movie. I'm gonna go with horror movie.
All right. Would you rather do an interview like Serious Type or Mike Tyson Mysteries?
I like in-depth, serious interviews.
Okay, you didn't like the pigeon, Norm Macdonald. You didn't like doing all that. All right.
I love that. That was my best. That's my best stuff. But I like the serious stuff.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the mysteries.
What would you rather watch?
I'm gonna go with the mysteries.
Text or phone call when you're doing it to someone else? 60 seconds.
Text.
I'm gonna go text message.
All right. Swimming with sharks.
Check that. I'm gonna go phone call. Phone call for sure.
A little audible right there. Did you see that audible, Mike Tyson? All right. Swimming with sharks or bungee jumping?
Wow, bungee jumping.
Man, I'm gonna go swimming with sharks.
That's
all right.
Stuff, man.
You hit the ground.
Or iPod?
Say it again.
Walkman or iPod?
iPod.
All right. Tupac or Biggie?
Wow. I don't want to be offended. I guess I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
15 seconds.
Tough. I go draw.
I go Tupac.
10 seconds. All right. Who was your easiest opponent? Go.
I don't know. Me.
That's a good one. Easiest opponent? Someone we've already beaten. I don't know. All the win. I don't know. There's not really any easy opponents.
All right, fair enough. You guys are both too good of sportsmanship. So I would have said, yeah, I never mind. All right, this is the last one. Time is up. This
Jeff
is the
Dye's
bonus question. Yeah, actually, if I was out there, I'd be an easy opponent for both of you guys. All right, this is the last question. This is overtime. Would you rather take a punch from Iron Mike Tyson, which would be foolish, or a sack from Aaron Donald, also foolish, but you just got to stand there and take it? Which would you rather have?
I'm gonna take the sack, man. No, yeah, the sack is gonna be. God damn, that's tough, man.
I'm going with the sack. I've already been sacked before. I've never been hit by Mike Tyson, and I'm looking at him right now with no shirt on, all ready to fight Roy Jones
That's
Jr.
why I say the
on
sack.
November 28th.
I've never been hit by me too. And some of these guys say you think, I don't know.
Well, at least I got pads on. So I'm going with the sack.
Sack.
All right, I would definitely take the sack. Definitely take the sack.
Well, listen, Mike. Listen, it's an honor to have you on the show. I'm DangerTalk, man. It's a blessing, man.
I admire myself from the screen.
we're excited to see you fight on November 28th against Roy Jones Jr. It's an honor. Jeff Dye and I are super grateful to have you. And I have one last question for you, Mike. Just 10 seconds from you. We always do this thing at the end of the show where you've been through so much and your legacy and all the different things you've done, and just to be able to overcome and keep battling. And you're a true story of just competitiveness, but also a true story of overcoming challenges, real challenges and demons and things in life to overcome. And I think it's just been amazing to see kind of where you are now. And I think back to when I saw you 2 years ago when we were in France and seeing you, watch your daughter play tennis, and just how much that meant to you, and just that time that quality time. And we always do this segment, I have a company called Good Man Brand, and we try to give clothes away and do some cool things for some heroes. And the whole idea is we do this whole thing, a hero campaign. If you had one hero in your world or somebody that you've known or somebody you'd want to give something to, who would that hero be?
My son. I really look up to my son. He's really a good kid. Her name's Amir and one's Miguel. The two kids, they're really good kids.
You said Amir and Miguel?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to give Amir Miguel some Good Man Brand and look out for him. And
they're really awesome. I'm so jealous. They're so handsome, everybody. Every time I go somewhere with my son, a woman says, "You're really good looking. You're really handsome." What the? Hey, look at me. What about me? I'm really jealous, man.
You got to just keep that shirt off. They'll compliment you.
All right, I'm going to do that next time. I'm going to say, "What? He's handsome. Look at this. He don't got this."
Yes.
Well, listen,
right.
Mike, I think that to be able to just think about all the things you've gone through and just where you are today, man, we're excited to watch. Tell us where to watch the fight. Get ready for it. It's November 20th. Tell us where to watch it.
Thriller pay-per-view, man. That's what it's all about. And the reason why I'm the man I am now is because of my wife. Without my wife, I'd be a junkie in the gutter, a needle in my arm or something. And that's the real perspective that I understand about myself. That I need somebody in order to function in proper perspective.
Yeah. So she saved your life, huh?
No doubt about it. We've been friends for a long time. I never even dreamed that I would marry her. I don't know if she ever dreamed she would marry me, but it just happened and it works.
Well, we got to thank her for saving you and just
with
how she changed your life.
I'm one of the good guys. I'm so happy she did it. I'm so happy she saw through the mess and saw the good guy.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful for her too, and just Mike, it's an honor. We're excited to see you fight November 28th. Thank you for joining DangerTalk. You're always welcome on the show.
After the fight, I'm coming on physically.
All right, let's go. We're excited to have you back. Listen, Mike, it's an honor. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike Tyson, everybody, the one and only guy on the planet.
Yeah, give him hell, champ. Woo!
Look at the ads. Man.
All right, that's Mike Tyson, y'all. I mean, Jeff, that was the one and only Mike Tyson. He's obviously got in a fight coming up against Roy Jones Jr. November 28th. But just to think about, did you hear this guy's story? To think about, at 13 years old, he had already been arrested 38 times. His parents, going through so much, going through, living up, basically growing up in the, sex industry, all that kind of stuff, all the things they had to go through. But also too, him seeing Muhammad Ali for the first time, and when he saw him,
I've never heard that before.
Without even knowing who, he said he didn't even know who Muhammad Ali was. He said, I want to be like him, which is so fascinating to think about. And just, it also shows you how significant Muhammad Ali was and the impact that he had. But to think about Mike Tyson and just to going through all the amazing moments that he had and all the knockouts. And then next thing you know, boom, goes to Tokyo and life changes pretty quickly. And just, I just
shows
think
how
about
important heroes are too, for sure. Like just the fact that Muhammad Ali was somebody he wanted to be like, literally was like a good kid turned into a bad guy, turned into a good guy. Like what a great story. I mean, it's like a movie.
Yeah. I also think about too is, I think about all the troubles that he had to overcome to be where he is today. And I think for a lot of people have gone through so much in different ways. He's probably been through more than anyone could ever imagine, the good, bad, and indifferent. And so to be where he is, and like I said to him at the end, when he was, about right before he took off, was that, I remember seeing him in France and just how intent he was watching, daughter's practice and tennis match, and he's a man that is trying to change his life and trying to change others' lives, and he had been through so much he only knew one way, and I think to really go through life and understanding, one of my favorite parts of that he talked about was just being able to come to this point where really caring and serving for other people. I think he's been through so much that he wants to be able to do that. And obviously this fight's going to be amazing. This dude is so in shape. He went from 312 to 220. I mean, whatever regiment he's on, like we all need to be on, because that's incredible to think about how much.
I don't know if you're a gambling man, Russ, but I think I'm going to put some coin on this fight. Roy Jones Jr., I think he thought this would just be like, let's do like a celebrity thing, we're both names, we can pack out a thing. And then Mike, like a week later on Instagram, just put videos of him going, crack, crack. I mean, literally frightening sounds coming off of a bag from a guy he's training like he's fighting Buster Douglas again.
Yeah, he definitely is. Do you think that how many? Let's do this. How many rounds do you think this whole fight goes? I think two rounds.
Two rounds, because here Roy Jones Jr. never got hit. He's like, that's his thing. He never got touched. He never got hit. So I think he's only going to take one from the baddest man on the planet to really end this thing.
Yeah. So Jeff, would you get in the ring if you were paid $30 million? Would you get in the ring and do the fight?
I couldn't say yes fast enough. I let you finish your sentence, but when you said 30 million, I was like, yeah, whatever's the next sentence. Yes, 30 million. I am. It doesn't matter what you say after that.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I think about all the stuff that he's gone through, and just all, he supposedly he had talked about how he had tried to dodge all these drug tests, and
sure,
and he used to use his kids' pee at one point just to do urine to do these drug tests, and it wasn't steroids. It was more so just drugs in life. And I one of my favorite parts, the very end there, he talked about how his wife saved his life. And I mean, no matter what anybody thinks about Mike Tyson, this and that, to think about that and understand that what love's really like, and his wife coming to save his life. He said, I may have even had a needle in my arm to think about how,
sure.
But she saved my life, and so it's really powerful just to think about that and just to think about how far he's come.
How'd you feel interviewing him? Because I got to watch you guys talk, and it's fun for me to watch you interview somebody. Because I know you're an in the moment kind of guy. To Mike Tyson getting choked up about Muhammad Ali and like him, I mean, I've never even heard that story. I feel like I'm pretty well versed about Mike Tyson. I've seen all the documentaries, I've read all the things, and I've never once heard that he was even inspired by Muhammad Ali at all. And then he couldn't even get through the sentence as he was like talking to you. He was like getting so choked up about his hero and a young Mike Tyson, like him kind of reflecting on that was kind of wild. What were you thinking when that was happening?
It just, you realize that every man, every woman, we're all human, and we're all not perfect. We all have ups and downs. And I think we all have things that have changed our lives and moments that like Mike Tyson when he's in his jail cell and he sees Muhammad Ali for the first time and he started tearing up in the interview. And how much that meant to him and how it changed his life. And it gave him a little bit of perspective on where he could go. And, when he talked about, just how his trainer Cuss, how he taught him discipline and, and just how he talked about how he got away from it all. And so what I think is really cool to see is where he is now. And I think from him taking off his shirt now and being 220 and being ready to fight.
And he's silly.
It's also that.
It was kind of, he has like a childlike playfulness to him that was very fun about him.
Yeah, and to also have the understanding that, life hasn't been easy for him and hasn't been perfect for him, but to know that a lot of grace, a lot of love, a lot of things that he's had to work through, and just to know that a guy like Mike Tyson can tear up even on his own thoughts of, why he's here today and just the gratefulness that he had on his heart. You could definitely see that. And so one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. And to have Mike Tyson on Danger Talk, talking to us, laughing with us, but also being real with us and diving into the conversation was really special today. It's one of my favorite moments of Danger Talk so far is just for him to be so honest and so real and so raw with us and about where he's come from and what he's overcome.
And I think it's the only interview in the history of Mike Tyson where he didn't mention pigeons. There was no talk of pigeons once, and that's a record for Danger Talk.
Yeah, exactly. So I know he loves his pigeons, right? So, but yeah, man, it was really special. You do get to watch Mike Tyson fight all the time when you were growing up?
Growing up, but I think that was like pre-social media, it was pre all this stuff. So they were always just pushing this narrative of how like he's the baddest guy and he's the meanest and he's the toughest and he's like a pit bull. And so like I just believed that. I just thought he was like this salacious kind of like sexy headline kind of guy who's mean. So even when Evander Holyfield was the champ, all we heard about was Mike Tyson. They were like, he's not really the champ. He's got to beat Iron Mike. He never beat Iron Mike. And then they would always run with like the prison stuff and all the bad things about Mike Tyson. So for me to see him as an adult, just being a sweetheart and a man of God, which we didn't really talk about much, but he's a man of faith and all those things it's awesome to me to see a full circle kind of like script like life. It's pretty cool.
Well, I definitely think it's his whole life has changed and it's changing even in the midst of conversation now. Just it was really cool. I'm excited about this fight. I'm excited to watch Roy Jones Jr. and him get after it November 28th on pay-per-view and watch those guys battle it out.
I'm calling it.
I couldn't even imagine. Yeah.
It's over, Roy. It's over.
I'm going with Big Mike right here on this one too. But listen, man, we've had some amazing conversations with some amazing people, from Shaq to John David Washington to Randy Moss to the one and only Chris Paul to Candace Parker. She gave us some knowledge. She gave some true knowledge and so many others like Ken Griffey Jr. and Joe Montana and obviously Matthew McConaughey was pretty cool too with his new book Green Lights. But Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson.
You did it, Russ, by the way. You just did it. I've been keeping a tally to see if you can get all these, and you're nailing it.
Hey man, how could you forget? How could you forget these conversations?
Wait for you to slip. But that order, you still nailed it.
Yeah, to have Mike talk about life and the growth of life. Talk about what boxing meant to him, his childhood, the lack of, people around him when he was growing up, to his wife saving his life, not just theoretically or figuratively, but really actually saving his life. Really powerful, and we get to see the baddest man on the planet fight again here soon. In not too many days, so it'll be a great fight. So we're excited about it, and grateful to have you on the show today, Mike Tyson. It's a blessing to have you on the show, and grateful for the honesty and the knowledge and the wisdom and things that you've gone through to talk about them. And I think a lot of people are going to grow from this conversation. So we're grateful for you, and we can't wait to watch you fight soon. So Mike Tyson in the house on Danger Talk. This is cool. All right. Well, we can't wait for next week, and we'll see you guys. Remember, make sure you guys keep subscribing. Make sure you tell your friends to subscribe. Pass the word. We're right here only on Danger Talk. This is Danger Talk with Russell Wilson, my co-host Jeff Dye. We're having a blast, having a good time. Too many great conversations. And next week is going to be special too. So make sure you guys come join us. And we will be out every Wednesday. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Mike Tyson. See you soon. All right. Danger Talk. We out. Peace.